What an eventful day in the NBA. Tuesday, there were, how many games? A lot of them. There were 8 of them. That's how many. Michael Bolton, what is the haps?
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and don't forget to treat yourself a round of sausage. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Twitter, as always, at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Start the season with a big return on FanDuel. Get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Go to FanDuel.com right now to sign up. Also, check out LockedOnDaily.com for a newsletter on your favorite team, your favorite NBA team, your best newsletter, all of the information about that team in that newsletter. Check it out. Also, double bang, thumb it up, and let's keep those subs rolling in. Over 80K now. Thank you to everyone again. Fantastic that we got there. I love every one of you apart from 2 or 3. That's you know who you are. Let's keep those numbers rolling back up. All right. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about Tuesday. 8 games. NBA Cup. First day of the NBA Cup for this season. And some interesting stuff went on. I've covered most of the big injury news that doesn't involve today's games in the earlier show, in the preview shows. But a couple of things that are worth mentioning. Jose Alvarado, hamstring injury, 6 weeks. It's bad. This guy was playing every minute available, and now they literally have no point guards. So their point guards are Brandon Boston and Brandon Ingram, I guess. It's all Brandon time. So, yeah, look, Brandon Boston's a must-roster player. It's obviously a frustrating scenario to have to deal with this. And we'll find out more information about this for the Pelicans tomorrow. But at the moment, we're in a situation there where they don't have the bodies. They just don't have those opportunities. They don't have any players. There's no one in those spots. So that means that the guys that are left are going to have to do a lot, which can be beneficial in fantasy. The other thing there is the return of Vince Williams is here. I think I talked about this on the preview show earlier today, saying Vince Williams is going to be coming back soon, but he's been upgraded to doubtful. Marcus Smart is questionable. He was doubtful last game. Smart went doubtful, questionable, so I think there's a chance he plays. I reckon we're getting Vince back by the end of this week. And given that Desmond Bane is out, given that Ja Morant is out, given that G.G. Jackson remains out, I think there's a chance that we'll see how cautious they are, and they will be cautious, I'm pretty sure. But Vince can have a maybe 2-3 week run of really decent numbers, and I don't mind adding him as a stash. I'm not certain on it. It might be rocky because the nature of his injury, the stress reactions in his shin means you've got to be cautious with the minutes. And by the time he fully gets to minutes, maybe other players are back, like Bane. Don't think Morant will be back, but maybe Bane is there, and that's a negative impact overall on what Williams does. So I don't mind an add of him. I don't mind a stash of him. I just think it might be 2 weeks or so before we start to get 27, 28 minutes, which is probably what he needs to get to that value point that we require. What about the waiver wire? What's been going on? Who have been the most added and most dropped players across the old fantasy basketball waiver wire? Your most added player over the last 48 hours, according to our numbers at Basketball Monster, is De'Anthony Melton. Yep. We will find out. The Warriors play today. I'll talk about that game later on. Fatter Pants Kevin Herter struggled last game, but with Malik Monk out, I get it. Good ad, solid ad, bad player, good ad. Grant Williams also moved back to the starting lineup today for Charlotte. I think that he is totally fine to roster as well while these players are out. Stephon Castle is, look, I don't mind adding him. We will find out again more as players return, like Trey Jones, and we'll see how they keep distributing those minutes and where Vassell's minutes ramp up goes. For now, I don't mind it. I don't think it sticks, but that's okay. BJ Boston, obviously, and Lou Dort. I do believe that Lou Dort, amazingly, is a player that you roster at this point because, and we'll talk more about it again the next time the Thunder play, which is tomorrow, but we saw it yesterday, and he's been pretty good for most of the season, and I think they just have to lean a little bit more now into what the old Daughter can provide. In terms of the most dropped players, this will revert pretty quickly, but Davion Mitchell was the most dropped player over the last 48 hours, and it's fine. I know it's not, but as we stress so much on this show, process over results. Right? Process over results. Davion Mitchell, Emmanuel Quickly was back. His minutes were there. Davion went to a 17-minute a night player. Quickly played 2 games in a row. Played the back-to-back. And we're like, okay, we move on. Nobody, not you, not me, not you in the corner there, nobody could have predicted that Emmanuel Quickley would now come out with a partially torn UCL. He's not going for Tommy John surgery. He's got to stop with those sliders. No one can predict this. It's not like he came back and you hold on Mitchell for that first game and then he re-aggravates the pelvis issue and he's out again, which is a very common thing and a common strategy in fantasy. Hold that guy that's a backup, see what happens. Completely different injury. It just happens that it's 2 days after he came back from the other one. So it seems like you should have held on to Davion waiting for this when there's literally zero correlation between this. None at all. Not whatsoever. So while it is bad that you dropped him, it is 100% the correct move that you dropped him and now go back and add him. Dorian Finney-Smith's been dropped. I don't know if he's playing tomorrow. He's questionable. Fine. He's not a high priority guy anyway. Bubbles, Buble, Julian Champagny has been dropped. Reasonable as well. Fine to roster him. Fine not to. Russell Westbrook, get that garbage out of here. Tamani Kamara, you only want to roster him because of schedule-based stuff, and they've got a really big gap in the schedule coming up. He's a steals merchant. That's what he does. He's no Dyson Daniels, but I wouldn't feel so excited about rostering him, and that's why he's dropped. And the other one is Trey Mann, which, we can jack Trey Mann, who missed today's game anyway. Get that garbage out of here. That's probably a decent segue to go in and talk about the first game of the day. It was Trey Mann's Charlotte Hornets. They took on the Orlando Magic in this one. And like I said, Grant Williams moved into the starting lineup, replacing Tijan Solin for the Hornets. And I think we'll start there with Grant and what he was able to produce, because this is 2 games in a row for Williams. Did I give you the score? I didn't. It's 114-89, the final score here in favor of Orlando. Williams played 31 minutes in a blowout, 15-4, 2 steals and 3 threes. Cool. He's top 100 over his last 5 games. Probably want to roster him. The other one that you're gonna ask the question about, I know it, is Moussa Diabate. Now this is, I think, 4 straight double-digit rebound games. If not, it's 3 out of 4. He went 12-15. He played 30 minutes. He had 3 blocks. He shot 86%. With BDNR Nick Richards out, with Mark Williams out, and Miles Bridges, I don't really have a problem if you want Diabate, but the blocks are not something that he does. He doesn't always play 30 minutes, but what he does do is bring you double-digit rebounds, and that is basically locked in at the moment. So yeah, Diabate is more of a, I would say 14-team league guy, short-term, maybe 14. But if you wanted it in 12s and he fills the need that you have, no problem. Do it. Go for it. Absolutely dreadful night from Brandon Miller shooting-wise, 17%, 8 points, but he did have 7 assists and 2 steals, so don't fret. It's annoying, I know. But you got 7 assists. You got 2 steals. That is all sort of goodies. Well, LaMelo Ball had, 16 points in the first quarter, ended with 35, 6, and 7. Continues to be pretty strong. Not as good as that hot start to the year was showing us, but he has been good and continues to be good. And now we talk about the Orlando Magic side of things. Really easy win for them. Let's talk about Jalen Suggs, who we had on the Buy Low show earlier today. Started out absolutely cooking, then went to the locker room with a foot problem, came back and couldn't hit a shot. Overall, 17, 4 and 4, 2 steals, a block and 3 threes is increased production from where he had been the last 2 weeks. I love it. I think there's still more to go, so the buy low might still be on with him. Franz Wagner, I don't know, is this a sell high? Franz Wagner's killing him. 32 minutes, 32 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, 56% shooting. Wagner was a player who I was okay with getting him in the 60s, but not in the 40s. The injury to Paolo has really helped him boost his numbers. He probably is a little bit of a sell high just because of that. Goga Bitadze has been the stream of choice, the stream du jour, with Wendell Carter out. And the last 2 games, he's played 21 and 20 minutes. Bitadze had 9 and 2 here with a block, and it was Flaming Mo Wagner that stepped up. 24 minutes, 18-5, 2 threes, 2 steals. That's fantastic from Wagner. I don't know when Wendell's back, but what I do know and what I feel very confident about is that when Wendell returns, you will have no use for Goga. Because if he's doing this now, when Wendell is there, where it's still okay to roster Goga, but this is not like you're dominating, you're killing it, you're playing 30 minutes a night, you're out here cooking everyone, because obviously not. He's not doing that. And they went with Wagner instead. So that uncertainty there makes me think, again, it'll go back to, and I said this incorrect the other day. I said that Jacques Vaughn was the Magic coach because he used to be ages ago, but no, it's not. It's Jamal Mosley. Apologies to Jamal Mosley and his family. He's a way better coach than Jacques Vaughn. If Mosley is not feeling that confidence in Goga when his other option is Mo Wagner, really sure he's not going to have that confidence when Wendell Carter comes back. Again, doesn't matter what you think, doesn't matter who you think is better. It matters, this time, what Jamal Mosley thinks. That is what is important. What else in this one? Mr. Black had 2 blocks. 25% shooting, but what Anthony Black is providing is like this 24, 25 minutes. He gets out of position blocks, sometimes with some assists. That's not for everybody. That's not for 10s. It's not for 12s. It's definitely not for points leagues. It's for deeper league sort of stuff. Like even with this production, which people think is solid, he's 212th over the last 5 games. So it's not solid. It's bad, actually. And yeah, I really still worry about his offensive generating ability and his shooting ability. Really worry. Speaking of getting garbage out of here, which we weren't, but we will right now. Get that garbage out of here! Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. People drafted this guy. Why? 6 points, 25 minutes. He stinks. What else is going on? Tristan Da Silva had 5 points with 2 blocks. This man cannot get shots in. He cannot get them up. Maybe he should have stuck to being the first drop batsman for Sri Lanka in the 90s. I don't know. Different player, different spelling, I know. But it sounds similar and it's funny. What else have we got going on here? That's about it, I think, for that team. So there you go. There you go. We'll get back with the rest of these games in a sec. But first of all, today's episode is brought to you by the good old legends over at FanDuel Sportsbook. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything that you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. In the middle of the game, you get a hunch. Check out the live stats. Easy. Bang. It's right there. The live game by game. Bang. Easy. Right there. We see it all. It's all happening. All in that spot. In that one place where you would place your bets. So head across to FanDuel.com right now to join today and get started with $150 in bonus bets if that first $5 bet wins. Go to FanDuel.com and never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. And don't forget to gamble responsibly. All right. Let's go on to the next game of the day. We're talking, the Miami Heat and the Detroit Pistons. The Pistons win it in overtime, 123-121. I believe this is the second victory that the Pistons have over the Heat this season. Jimmy Butler was out negotiating his next contract in his contract year, so he didn't play. And they went with that same starting lineup of Hayward Highsmith and Kevin Love instead of Little Chungus. Speaking of Little Chungus, we'll start with him. He played 3 minutes, got his face absolutely rearranged. The injury they're calling it, I have literally never seen this injury designation in my life, reduced septum. So I know what it means. The septum, obviously, in your nose, it means his nose has been crunched in, caved in, the space in there is not there. And that to me means, is that surgery? Like, that was a bad injury, man. I think that he's out for a long time, so that does really help the value of Hayward Highsmith. Now, Highsmith played 36 minutes and had 9 and 5, but what he is an absolute steals merchant. He's not Dyson Daniels, but he gets a lot of them. That's 8 in the last 2 games for Highsmith, which is going to have appeal for some of you. Probably more 14-teamers, but this little boost does help. What we saw also here is that without Jimmy Butler last game, we got nothing out of Jaime Jaquez. This game, 14 and 5 in 25 minutes. That's better. He's a fringe player who's still not starting. Maybe he's still recovering from having whatever that disease. I was going to say something, the disease he had, but I know the negative connotations associated with it, even though, me from my medical background was just going to throw out, or maybe it was hepatitis A as a funny joke, because hepatitis A is not the same as the other hepatitises, which have all of the negative connotations about blood and sexual health and all that sort of stuff. Hepatitis A is a water and foodborne virus that affects your stomach and is self-limiting and not a long-term forever illness. But if you say hepatitis, you say, nah. But, I caught myself and then I explained it. So if I ever drop a hepatitis A reference again, that's what it is. It's like really, it's bad. It's bad, don't get me wrong, but it's not like hepatitis B and C. Shout out to Tommy Lee. Bam Adebayo, do we get a game under 30% shooting? No, the opposite. 62% for the big fella, 20 and 12 with a block in 44 minutes, while Tyler Herro, the sell high slump didn't quite hit here, but it further strengthened your case to sell high. 40 points, 10 threes, 8 assists and 4 steals. I'll tell you what Tyler Herro's not doing, 4 steals. I'll tell you what he's not doing, 10 threes. This is the ultimate sell high. Over the last 5 games, he's the 6th ranked player. He's cooking, right? This will not hold. 100% guarantee you none of this will stick. That's not true. The usage, no problem. Right? He will get usage. He will get minutes. He's a good shooter. None of this other, he's not this good. So this is your sell high, what do you call it? Like consolidation, I guess? Like reaffirmation, maybe. Duncan Robinson played 36 minutes. He had a pretty good game, and he also got 4 steals. Again, what is going on with the Heat's white guys generating all these steals? The Heat, in fact, had 14 steals in this game. Robinson this first game he's really done anything this season, I would not react to it, but he got the minutes instead of Josh Richardson, instead of Alec Burks. The the old, veteran, washed-up guards might, in fact, be old and washed up. Speaking of old and washed up, Terry Rozier had 7 points in 40 minutes. He shot 21%. He's not a drop, but we're not far. He's been bad. And I'll be honest with you, I don't have to be honest because it's just truth. Like, he was this bad in Miami last season. He was bad, and we thought he'd be bad in Miami last season, and I wasn't super high on him this season, but like he's worse than I thought he was going to be. Let's talk about the Detroit side of the equation as I try and make sure my graphics look right. Yeah, let's get that right. They did have a change in their lineup, the Pistons, because Jalen Duren, the passport legend, he returned, and that meant that Isaiah Stewart moved to the bench. Stewart was still pretty good, 13 and 10, and I think I don't know if there's a chance that Stewart replaces Duren as a starter, but I do think that he might be better, and I am not an Isaiah Stewart guy. I don't mind a soft hold of Stewart. Yeah, just in case. As for Duren, he is also a soft hold. He is getting blocks, though. 2 of them. 8 and 11 here with 5 assists, but there's just something not right. Speaking of like nasty injuries, we had another one on this side with Tim Hardaway Jr., smashing his head with blood. There was a lot of blood on the court. He got wheelchaired off. There's no chance that he's playing the next game. I don't know if it's a concussion or what it is, but that was nasty, and he's missing time. So what that means, I think they'll probably start Simone Fontecchio, but it means big minutes for Leaky Beasley, who played 35 here, had 21 with 5 threes, and we were talking about how Beasley and Hardaway were sort of eating each other's production. If Hardaway's gone, Beasley might play 35 a night. He might get 18 points with 4 threes, and that's good enough. So yeah, look, just keep an eye, 14 teamers on Leaky, and Fontecchio moves into that deeper league discussion if, in fact, as I expect, Hardaway's going to be out. Cunningham had 21, 7 and 9, and added 2 blocks, and was 7 of 7 from the line, so that's very good. And Jaden Ivey had a struggle game the other day, but this is a nice bounce back. 19, 9 and 7, and it's great to get those peripherals from him. The Thick Hogsman had 18, 7 and 4 with the steal, and I've never seen just a more Tobias Harris line. Like in a 12-team league, the average points scored by a team is 18. The average rebounds is 6.8. The average assists is 3.7. The average steals is 1. The average threes is 2.1. And this man went 18, 7 and 4 with a steal and 2 threes. Unfortunately, he didn't hit 48 from the field 49 from the field and 80 from the line, because then it would have been the perfect average mid-line. This is what this man does. He is the most across-the-board mid producer, which is why you look at him in that 55 to 75 range, and that is why he's, like, realistically delivering not much away from that. Like, he's been pretty close, I would say, the majority of the season so far. The next game was a little bit of an upset, and by a little bit, I mean, what on earth? The Atlanta Hawks beat the NBA Cup favorites, the Boston Celtics, 1 point, 117, 116, and the Hawks did it without Trae Young. Well, they're better without Trae. Without Bogdan Bogdanovic, without DeAndre Hunter, without Vic Krejci, without Kobe Buffkin. All of them are out. Jalen Johnson triple-doubled. 18, 13, and 10 with 3 steals and a block. Didn't take a free throw, but who cares? What about the dustbuster, Dyson Daniels? This man, who was a late-round pick for most, around the 110, 130 mark, I would guess, off the waiver wire for some, is dominating. 41 minutes, 21, 3 and 7, with 6 steals. That is 3 games in a row of at least 5 steals for Daniels. He is putting up incredible, like maybe he touches 3 steals a game average this season. It is ridiculous what this man is doing. He has been so much better than literally anyone could have expected. He also shot 57%. And what about this? 21 shot attempts, 28 usage. I did not for a million seconds think that would happen. Or a million years even. Didn't think he'd get anywhere near that. He's dominating. Now, I am, what am I trying to say? Contractually obligated to tell you guys that, yes, he had 6 turnovers. Therefore, it is a very, very bad game. Bad Dyson. 6 turnovers. What a disaster. So bad. It's a category, and it's equal to all of the other categories as well. Same value. He's also rough on the free throws, 3 of 5, 60% from the line, but who cares? Dyson's cooking, and we love that. What's going on with the centers? Because Clint Capella, the dental plan legend, had 18 and 9, but he played 17 minutes. All right, how do I figure that out? 73%, that's an unbelievably good line. That must mean Okongwu played big minutes. Well, he did. 31 of them, in fact. 15 and 6 with 64 minutes. Do I trust the center rotation? No, of course I don't. Why would I? Okongwu's showing again just a little flash of what he can bring. But I just think it's going to continually be frustrating. If you want to hold him, go for it. If you don't, and you're in a shallower format, drop him. I think it's okay. And now we get the added wrinkle of what is going on. Why is Larry Nance doing things? Nance was DMP CD'd. He's a really good player, Larry Nance. And now they decided they're playing him at the 4? 19 points. He hit 5 threes, stretch 4 legend Larry Nance. A steal, a block, and 70%. Like, I'm not going to say we add him, but, you know, that's not far off, man. That's at least a deeper league grab just to see what is actually going on here. Zach Ricochet just might suck. He had 8 points on 31% with 9 rebounds and 3 steals. And wind yourself back to the big game that he had. And wind yourself back to the reactions. Not from you. Not from you. Definitely not from you. But from like where you see it. Social media, other podcasts, other YouTube videos. He's arrived. Favorite for Rookie of the Year. The breakout is here. Yes, he was number 1 pick for a reason. The reason was there were no good players in this draft. That's the reason. Because again, one game does not change anything. It's good to see, but doesn't mean that everything else is flipped. And since then, he's been shithouse. And DeAndre Hunter is allegedly returning. If you want to hold Ricochet, fine. Go for it. But outside of one game, is it worth holding on to the 210th ranked player? I'd suggest not. That's including that one game, by the way, he's 210th. And he's 151st in points leagues. It's nothing good. Old mate Keaton Wallace, who is available on ESPN. And I know I had that rant yesterday about that, and people go, oh my God, Josh, what are you talking about? He's actually available. Yeah, I know he was available. He got added onto ESPN's database. I wonder how that happened. I wonder. Did I make a mistake and not see him there? Or did something trigger them to add him? Anyway, they added him so you couldn't use him today anyway, so W to them. Anyway, as for Keaton, he's got no offensive juice at all. He had 8 assists. Usually he's a pretty good steals guy. And as long as Trey is out, I don't mind rolling him out there. But 7, 2, and 8's bad. And 8's good. The 23% is terrible. But 32-minute starting point guard with assist and steal upside, it's a Davion Mitchell-ish sort of a player. And there's maybe a little bit of something in that. But it's in no way a long-term sort of situation. Let's go to the Boston side of this game. No change in the Celtics lineup. Maximum Derek White. What is there, my man? 31, 6 and 5 with 7 threes. He is just at another level at the moment. Jason Tatum started out poorly, finished better, but still can't really shoot or couldn't shoot. The ankle, I think there's a risk that he doesn't play tomorrow. We'll find out though. 20 and 6 with 8 assists and 2 blocks for him. And then Al Horford had 8, 4 and 2 with 26 minutes and almost definitely sits tomorrow, which means we need to look at the replacements. And Nemesh Keita, I won't say he played well. He didn't. He was scoreless in 21 minutes, but he got 21 minutes. Luke Kornet got 4. 5 rebounds and 2 blocks for Keita. And I think both him and Kornet will play 20 minutes tomorrow. And I think both of them, I would lean Keita. I think both of them are 12-team league options to stream in. The Peyton Pritchard crash happened. 6 points in 25 minutes. He had 3 steals. He hit 2 threes. 25% shooting is bad. I would still be holding him though. While Drew Holiday, after a one-game little bump, had 8 points in 29 minutes with 7 assists. In a points league, I don't think you hold Drew. Category league, it is a soft hold in most of them. And Jaylen Brown was great, 37 and 5. Unfortunately, just 6 of 10 from the line, but fantastic overall field goal percentage from Jaylen Brown. Today's episode is also brought to you by Mint Mobile. With big wireless providers, what you see is never what you get. Somewhere between the store and your first month's bill, the price you thought you were paying magically skyrockets. With Mint Mobile, you never have to worry about gotchas ever again. When Mint Mobile says $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan, well, they mean it. So say goodbye to overpriced wireless plans, jaw-dropping monthly bills, and unexpected overages. Mint Mobile is here to rescue you with premium wireless plans starting at $15 a month. All plans come with a high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all of your existing contacts. Ditch overpriced wireless with Mint Mobile's deal and get 3 months of premium wireless service for $15 a month. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/lockedonnba. That is mintmobile.com/lockedonnba and cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/lockedonnba. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speeds are slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. All right, let's kick it back into gear. The next game, the New York Knicks and the Philadelphia 76ers. All right, Sixers lose? Yeah, 111-99. Final score, the Knicks get the victory. Jalen Brunson, for about the 20th time this season, seemed to hurt his ankle. Not seemed to, did. Hurt his ankle, went to the locker room. Still played 35 minutes, of course. 18, 3 and 5, 33%. The top 5 MVP legend, he's not playing like that. He's playing like a top 5 starter on his own team, to be honest. He is really struggling. I do think that stuff is going to improve from him, but but also, remember this. This is why last season, when at Christmas time, around then, I did my All-Star teams, I didn't have him on it, because he wasn't playing that well. He will, I expect, be better than this, and I think the foot is bothering him, but it's clearly happening. Josh Hart, 14, 12, and 10. Triple-1, triple-double, 75%, absolutely dominating at the moment. And so is the big fella, Karl Towns, 21, 13, and 6 for Big Purr. Terrible nickname, 1 steal, 1 block, 2 threes. Bad shooting, but overall he has been everything. If you took him at the start of round 2, you're pretty happy with it, I'd say. I'd say you'd be really, really happy with that. What else are we talking about? I just completely lost my part. Oh, yeah. Let's check on the OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges grouping. What's going on with OG? 69% shooting. 24 points, 6 rebounds, steal and a block. This guy is absolutely on fire. Bridges, he shot well. 14 and 4 with 2 steals and a block, but he just can't really do enough. We're still holding them, obviously. But yeah, it's a little frustrating, I guess, if you took him that high. And then Juice McBride played 26 minutes, had 15 points. He had 3 threes. He had 2 steals. I don't mind a hold of Juice McBride. I don't think you have to. But because he is the only other player who's any good on this team, that if someone is hurt, he will step into a larger role and be useful. And at the moment, he's providing sort of back-end numbers. On the Philadelphia 76ers side of the ledger, well, we made it. We're here. We got the season debut of Joel Embiid. He started, of course, Andre Drummond went to the bench. And now, as we sit here, Joel Embiid's saying, no, yeah, I might play tomorrow. Bro, what? He's like, oh, yeah, I know I said I'd never play back-to-backs again, but I'm a troll. So were you trolling then? Are you trolling now? There is no way. Why? Did you watch this game? He couldn't even move. He could barely run. He was winded. As if he's playing tomorrow. Surely not. Surely not. As for Paul George, well, the buy low bump kicked in. 32 and 10. 8 threes, 3 steals, a block, elite shooting. It was always going to happen. That was the most obvious buy low of all time. But the thing is I talked about my Paul George, Franz Wagner trade on that show today. And then there was people who would do it. And they said they want Wagner because people hate Paul George. Someone said, no, that's easy. Franz wins. They're the same ranked player. And George is just, older and Franz is younger. I go, no. Paul George has always been a much, much better player, fantasy-wise, real-life-wise, than Paul George. Always has been. So, look, I don't know that Paul George is going to continue, but it was very obvious that he was going to be better, and I don't think that's the valuation that people have on George is way lower than what his value actually is, I think. I'm going to talk a little bit about Jared McCain. 30 minutes, 23 points, 4 threes. I thought that having Embiid back would limit McCain somewhat in terms of usage, but let's get it out of here. He's better than Kelly Oubre. He is, but I think Oubre stinks. Eric Gordon is done. Absolutely as washed as they come. Who was a DNP today. And McCain, while Maxey is out, I won't say that he's a must-roster player, but that is 3 really solid games in a row. And I would consider him in 14-teamers, and I would be looking at him, Jared McCain, for tomorrow. Very interesting. Kyle Lowry still started, had 4 points. McCain is not going to do much more apart from score, which makes him volatile in terms of where his value is. Cam Thomas, Jalen Green style. But I love what he's giving at the moment. Oubre, man, bro, this guy stinks. Get that garbage out of here. 5 and 6 with 2 blocks, while Andre Drummond had 5 and 4 with a block. And I don't think you hold Drummond, even though Embiid's probably not going to play tomorrow. He's just not good enough. Gershon Yabusele had 3 and 8, and he played a little bit of power forward in this game. You might consider streaming him tomorrow if we hear that George and Embiid are both out. I wouldn't be shocked if Yabusele starts next to Drummond, if that's the case. But keep an eye on it. Also, I think McCain might start in that situation as well. And Caleb Martin, that's 2 games in a row, I think, with 4 steals. He had 17, 2 and 3. He is not known as a high steals player, so it's a little bit out of character. But again, tomorrow, a lot of players will be out. There'll be an opportunity here for Martin, who I think is a very fringe 12-team league guy, and not really someone we should be considering as a must-roster player. Let's go across to the next game. We're talking about the Toronto Raptors and the Milwaukee Bucks. This game looks like it's missing an extra quarter, but no. This was the final score, 99-85 is your final in this one. The Raptors, as I said, Tommy John legend Emmanuel Quickley. He is not having Tommy John, but this UCL injury for Quickley, this is probably 4 weeks. It might be 2 months. It might be 3 months. The only real instance I can remember is Paul George, and it cost him 3 months in basketball terms. It's only partially torn, so it's like a grade, maybe grade 1, grade 2, but we haven't heard. Grade 2 is 2 months, I would say, and grade 1 is less than that. So, yeah, not great. I'd like to get a little bit more information on that for Quickley. I don't know if we'll get it, though. But honestly, like that, if it's 2 months, that makes him a hard guy to hold. But I still think there's top 50 value in him long term, and you do try to prioritize holding those players. But with Quickley out, with Barnes out, we got more dick. 38 minutes for Grady, 32 points, 4 threes, 5 rebounds. And again, he illustrates the point. Now, I don't know how this man took 16 free throw attempts, but he took 20 shots as well. And that, for those of you who can't calculate at home, is a gigantic 33% usage. But the man doesn't do anything else. He doesn't, right? And when eventually that volume drops off, he's not useful. But it doesn't matter because it's not dropping off at the moment because Quickley's out. So Dick gets to stay in this position. Easy. Davion Mitchell, 1 point. Thanks, champ. He had 8 assists and a steal, and that's still useful, and you can still stream him in that scenario. While Ochai Agbaji, the gold dust wore off for the scoring, but the other stuff's good. 7 rebounds, 2 steals, and a block, and he has been solid. He is worth a 12-team roster spot. Well, Rowan Barrett, what are you doing, my guy? Last season, you came into Toronto and you changed everything about your game. You turned into a rim-attacking finisher, and now you're this garbage. 7-7 on 21% with 1 3. Can you please stop this nonsense? I knew you sucked. I knew you were terrible. I hate you. That's because you're Canadian, but also your basketball's bad as well. That's all a joke. I would hold on to Barrett, but if we start seeing the return of old RJ, then Jack Armstrong just has to do what he has to do. I know it's one of his own, but he's got to get rid of him. Pirtle has some foul trouble early, but ended with 13 and 8, 3 steals and 2 blocks, and you cannot be complaining about that. That's a terrible Scottish accent, and usually my Scottish is okay. But that, I don't know, maybe it's the pressure. The bright lights got to me. I wasn't used to them. Bruno Fernando also had a little bit of a showing out. The lob threat legend had 8 and 13 with 2 blocks, and I don't know what else there is to say about this game. Boucher was fine enough to be like a streaming, deeper league player. Let's go on to the other side of things. There was no Damian Lillard for the Milwaukee Bucks, so Glenn Rivers did it. He started Ryan Rollins, and Rollins played 22 minutes. He had 12, 5, and 3. He had 5 steals. He had 4 threes. That's bloody good. And then he left the game early with shoulder instability, which, oh my God. Because I don't think Lillard was going to play tomorrow, but now I also don't think Rollins is going to play, so no point there. But what we do want to point to is old mate AJ Green. The Red Rocket had 12 and 5 with 4 threes and 2 steals. He shot poorly, but usually is a good shooter. Gary Trent, 0 points in 6 minutes for the big fella. Green was starting in this one ahead of Andre Jackson Jr. Green is the closest player to that Beasley-Trent type, someone who shoots, and Jackson is not that. I don't know if we add AJ Green, but honestly, I think you can. While Rollins is out, Lillard is out, Middleton is out, Trent is Trent, it's okay. I don't think there's super high upside of it paying off, but just a short-term little boost, do it. Do it. Brook Lopez, 37 minutes. That's good on the first night of a back-to-back. 13-7, 2 steals, 3 blocks. One of his better games. He's had some bad ones. That's really solid. And Yanni had 23 and 4 with 7 assists and 4 blocks. Pretty standard Giannis game. Only 18 minutes for Portis because Lopez played a ton. So 17 and 8 for Bob. That's really great in those minutes, but those minutes are not sustainable as a 12-team guy. A barely there hold, and if I'm in 10s, I really don't think that you hold on to him in a 10-team league.
Get that garbage out of here.
But of course, if an injury happens, then he jumps way back up. As for Andre Jackson, he Richie Beno'd in the bad way. 2 points, 2 rebounds, and 2 assists with a steal and a block. And yeah, that's back to deep league stuff. Doc said, you're a young player, let's try it. He lasted a game and 2 games and went, oh no, what am I doing? What I would be watching for tomorrow is DeLon Wright. This is one of the best steals merchants in the NBA. 5 of them here in 24 minutes. He'd been out of the rotation, but now Rollins, Lillard, both out, assuming in tomorrow. Right he might be right. Hey, well, you can have a look. Maybe, probably not. It's all really just about steals with him and not a lot else, I don't think. All right, now I've just heard sources, not really. Ryan Rollins himself said it. He said, it's not a serious injury and I expect that I'm ready for the next game, which is tomorrow. So there you go. Like, if that's true, I don't think it is. But if it's true, then there you go. Players lie about injuries all the time. They downplay them all the time. So be aware of that. I'd be very surprised if he played. But if he does play Ryan Rollins tomorrow, then yeah, like that is an absolutely streamable player. He was looking really good out there. And yeah, I don't think long-term we're there because he's a two-way contract guy. But you never know. This man is an absolute expert at stealing. And he did it again today. And he hit some threes also. So there you go. Maybe something to pay attention to. We'll see. We'll get an update on that injury report, I think. The Phoenix Suns, there was no use of Nurkic, so we did it. The cockroach is back in our lives. Mason Plumlee was starting in this game in place of Nurkic, as we expected him to. In his absence, and what did Plumlee do? He had just a casual 15 and 14 with a block, and we know what this man does. He's a rebound legend. He's a high field goal, bad free throw player. He rarely blocks shots, and usually, he can be a good passer. But he also sucks at a lot of things, and that's why he can't hold down a starting job. But if Nurkic remains out, then yes, we roster Plumlee. Devin Booker had 31, 2 and 4. He also had 2 steals and 2 blocks, and Bradley Beal was pretty good until he had 24, 3 and 4, 2 steals and a block with 4 threes, but left the game early, didn't return with what they're calling calf tightness. Oh no. That's not good at all. Not at all. I would again make sure that I have not left Grayson Allen or Royce O'Neal on the wire. The Basmati man, again, was bad with his shooting. 9 points, 2 threes, 25%, but 1 steal, 3 blocks. The minutes are okay. The volume's fine. The defensive stats are good. I would roster him while Grayson Allen had 15 with 4 threes, and now there's the opportunity without Beal. Deeper leagues, I'll say Iguodala. 3-point shooting legend was solid. 6 and 12 with 2 blocks. He's a very interesting playmaking, sort of smaller center. The blocks and rebounds are really strong. Now, obviously, this is only for while Nurkic is out, but it's something to watch for. And then Tyus Jones, who was great last game, went back to in your shell Tyus. 8 points and 7 assists. He's not really good enough. We hold for now. And Ryan Dunn, the threes are still coming somehow. The problem is the thing that you want Ryan Dunn for is getting defense. It's not there. It's not happening. He's doing nothing else apart from shoot threes. He got a block, but okay, that's not enough, man. We need to do more of this, consistently more. And I know he's starting, and if Beal is out, his minutes probably do rise. But I would much prefer O'Neal and Allen at this point, and Plumlee, honestly, than what we're getting out of Ryan Dunn. I don't know if I told you, but the Suns won this 120-112. For the Jazz, Walker Kessler, sort of out of nowhere, was out with a hip soreness issue. That meant that John Collins moved into the starting lineup, not Kyle Filipowski. And the speaker, Keontae George, was back, so Isaiah Collier moved to the bench. Let's do a check-in on John Collins, who dominated. 29 and 10 with 3 threes, 3 steals, and a block. This guy was missing to begin the year. And now he is absolutely dominating. And honestly, I just got it wrong. I just thought they were deprioritizing him because they were, and then they reversed course and went back to him. I still don't think that John Collins is that good of a player, and he's taking advantage of situations, but he's taking advantage of them, and it's working. So yeah, he is absolutely doing brilliantly well. I did not see it coming at all. Clear Al so far. Clear Al. Jordan Clarkson. I talked about this on the streaming show yesterday. I said, why is he just not rostered everywhere? You don't love him long term, but yeah, the unbelievable goodness of the Jazz schedule this week was a no-brainer to add him. 16, 5, and 8 with 2 steals. Now, you're not going to get that every night, but that's obviously great. Speaking of obviously great, Bizarro Keontae George would have been because the real one was terrible. 9, 5, and 4 with no defensive stats on 33%. And honestly, he is testing my patience. I am still holding. I don't think his job's in jeopardy. But this is sometimes where you can get your brain into a bit of a knot. Because I hated him coming out of college. I know it's this terrible shooting percentages, terrible shot selection. Where's the vision? Yuck. And then I saw him in Summer League and the start of last season, preseason, and all the reports come out. Actually, maybe I'm wrong. Or maybe I'm right. I don't know. I don't even know anymore where I stand on this guy. I am still holding because he's still the starting point guard and the usage should be okay. But man, this is maybe he just has no idea how to shoot or choose the right shots. Distinctly possible. Larry Markkinen didn't quite get the buy low bump, but a little bit better, 17, 2 and 5. While Filipowski actually did cook, 18 and 6 with 2 threes, 2 assists, and 2 blocks in 23 minutes that he was allowed to play by his misses. Cody Williams is, shout out to Tony Snell. 0 points, 15 minutes. I've never seen a more passive player in my life. Well, that's not true. I'm sure there are others, but this man is just like, I don't see it with him at all. I never have. He is young. There is plenty, and I'm never going to give definitive opinions on players unless it's Taylor Horton-Tucker until they're probably in year 3. But I don't see it with him, and obviously we're not rostering Cody Williams in any redraft leagues. Dynasty, for sure, but I had him much further back than where other people would have drafted him. So that thought from him, for me, still holds. I still don't believe in him, and we'll see where it goes. Plenty of room to improve. The body size is there. Flashes at times, but there's just too many weird things about how he plays that I don't love. Colin Sexton played 31 minutes. He had 15, 5 and 3, and this team continues just to be frustrating in terms of what's happening each game. And we get games where Johnny Juzang plays minutes, now available on ESPN legend Johnny Juzang, and this one he has scoreless in 13 minutes. And then we have Sexton getting benched and playing 23, and then Clarkson starts, then Clarkson gets hurt, and Sexton starts, and then Sexton gets benched. Or not bench, but has Juzang play over him, and then he's playing. I don't know. It's all over the shop. It is really confusing. Same with Collins, same with Sexton, same with Clarkson. Filipowski would start and then go down and be 0 minutes and then back. It's all over the place, and I think it's going to be frustrating the whole way through. And I don't even have an update on what Walker Kessler's injury is. So look, let's talk about that. They've got a great schedule. Yeah, Collins, Filipowski, Clarkson, Sexton, Markkinen, and George all need to be rostered. All for the rest of this week, you've got to roster all of those players in 10 and 12 team leagues. Have to. For the way this week plays out, they have to be rostered. All right, let's do the next one. The Portland Trailblazers somehow beat the Minnesota Timberwolves 122-108. We'll start with the Wolves side of things, and this is how weird this game was. Jaden McDaniels played well. 17 and 6 in 36 minutes with 2 steals and 2 blocks on 80%. I know that listing him as a streamer every day eventually had to pay off. This is not him. Do not add him. Only use him for streaming opportunities, which, again, sometimes pays off. Julius Randle sucked. 11 and 6, didn't shoot well. This is just a very weird game. That meant that we got more Wizard of Noz. Naz Reid, who'd been a little bit down in the game or two before, exploded for 28 and 6. Now, his defensive stuff still isn't there, but he shot really well. His volume was up, and that's great from Naz. But unfortunately, the other guy that's one of their bench players, the big Ragu, was equally as terrible as Julius Randle. 3 points in 18 minutes. He still had 2 steals, but only 3 shots. He was a minus 20, and they just took him out of the rotation towards the end of the game. Don't worry too much about it. Don't use this game to change your evaluation on these players. It's just a very weird game, but they've got stuff to figure out here, the Wolves. As for Mike Conley, we can't do it.
Get that garbage out of here.
He's just not playing enough. 24 minutes, 6 assists, 2 steals. Who is this? Andrew Nembhard? That's what he is. He's an assist specialist at this point. And that is just not going to hold. While Anthony Edwards was fine. 26 points. He hit 4 threes. He was bad at field goal percentage. He had 2 steals, but 0 rebounds and 3 assists. And he continues to sort of hover around that back-end second-round valuation. 24th in Yahoo points leagues as well. It's not really enough, is it, considering where he was drafted? It's been a weird season, I would say, so far for Ant, would be the best way of phrasing that. But what about the Blazers? Because I've criticized a lot Chauncey Billups. Rightfully so. But this is a huge win to be able to come out on the back of some of the worst games you'll ever see and get a victory over a really good team. DeAndre Ayton was out, and you lost Anfernee Simons after 5 minutes. Ayton, that's 2 low-minute games in a row, followed by an absence due to a finger sprain. I'll tell you, I'm very worried about where this goes. Because the Rock DJ played 25 minutes, Robbie Williams, and I did not think he had it in him. 19 and 9 with 3 steals and 3 blocks on 90% shooting. Now, we saw him have a big game his first game of the season, and then he did absolutely nothing in the next one. But this is obviously a complicating situation, because that's huge. And if Ayton is out, then we obviously add Rob Williams. I just don't know, A, how long Rob can last, B, what the minutes will be like if Ayton plays. Because one thing I also know is Donovan Clingan cannot play as a starter in minutes. He can't do it. He does not have the physical fitness capabilities at this point to do it. He had 4 and 6 in 21 minutes with a steal and a block, Clingan, which is really disappointing. Long term, for the rest of the season, it's probably Clingan I prefer, but in the short term, almost undoubtedly Rob Williams. Almost undoubtedly. And that's a decision that's hard to make. I really worry about Klingon's overall upside because I think there is certain offensive limitations and just minutes limitations that are on him. Much better game from Denny Avdia. 17, 4 and 5 with 3 threes, but only 25 minutes there. While we also got a big load from Delano Banton. 12, 4 and 5 with 1 steal and 2 blocks. We know that Banton can fill him up. And if Simons has to miss and he's dealing with a chest issue, which, by the way, I don't know what the injury is. I don't know what's happening with it. Maybe we get it by the end of the show. I would not be shocked, given the way that he sort of was laboured with his breathing and holding himself, if there was like a rib fracture, lung puncture, or something weird like that. I honestly have no idea. But chest injury, I don't know what else it could be. I would be stunned if Simons doesn't miss time here. So, you go and add Shaedon Sharpe. Sharpe started the second half. Well, sorry. I meant to say Scoot, but we'll talk Sharpe first. He started the whole game. 33 minutes, 17, 3 and 3. He had 3 steals, but Sharpe remains still a bit empty in terms of the other categories. But with Simons out, he will be able to take on more usage, which pushes him further into a 12-team league player. Scoot, on the other hand, only 21 minutes, 14, 4 and 2 with 3 steals. Banton played more than him, which continues to frustrate me, but they did win the game, so I'm not going to be too critical of it. I would still consider adding Scoot. I would add Sharpe, and Banton would be like a 14-team league maybe option. Jeremy Grant had 8 assists, so I don't know where that came from, and 9 of 10 from the line. He also had no defensive stats and 2 rebounds and continues to sort of just be Jeremy Grant. Well, we got huge minutes from Tamani Kamara, and that's what happens. When Simons goes, other people just do more. Kamara had 14 points with 4 threes and 2 steals. That's great. I, again, don't see him as a long-term solution, but for now, you can do it. They do have a huge gap, though, after Wednesday. I think they play Wednesday, then Sunday. So, 3 days with no games, but they play again tomorrow. I'd be very, 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 very surprised if Simons is there and Ayton's borderline. But it's complicated because does Ayton go back and play 30 minutes now? Does he play 21 minutes? Does Klingon play 12 and Williams plays 18? I think we just add Rob and we sort of have to see where it goes because honestly, I just don't know where it goes. All right, it's the final game of the day, the Dallas Mavericks and the Golden State Warriors. The Warriors get the win in the end, 120 to 117. We'll start with the Dallas side of things. They running out the same starting lineup. There was still no PJ Washington, but Derek Lively did return. Of course, he still comes off the bench. Luka Doncic was questionable heading into the game with groin soreness. He played 41 minutes, of course. 31, 8, and 6 with 3 steals and hit his shots, which has been a little bit of a rarity for Doncic this season. After a slow start, he's ramping back up. He's the 4th-ranked player over the last 5 games. And Kyrie, who'd been awesome, was awesome again. Just not quite the high volume. 21, 3, and 6, 62%, and he continues to be great. For those of you who want to believe that revenge games are real, like this is your example, I'll throw the other 300 against you that disprove it, but that's okay. You can have this one. Klay Thompson back in Golden State. Great night for him to be back there and to have a big game. 22 and 6 with 4 rebounds and 3 assists. I still don't care. I still don't think this is a long-term play. Next time they play Golden State, maybe stream him in, but I don't think this is a resurrection of Klay or anything like that. It's good, and great players can have good games. They just don't do it consistently enough, and that's where Klay is at this point. Danny Gafford, just the 24 minutes, but still doing enough, 15 and 6, while Lively had 12 and 8 with a block, and both guys remain 12-team league players. Najee Marshall only got 22 minutes in this one, which is a little bit disappointing because they went to a lot more small ball, but that makes sense against the Warriors. Quentin Grimes played 29 minutes, he had 6 points with 2 threes, and he just played well, didn't put up the stats. Marshall still remains a stream guy, especially with the schedule for the Mavs. Grimes, on the other hand, that's good enough. I don't know that it holds for these other games this week, but we're looking for warm bodies on this team given their schedule, and maybe we do that one. On to the Warriors side of this game. Good win from them. Steve Kerr did keep the same starting lineup, so maybe he wasn't lying. He was. It's only 2 games. We'll see what happens as we move forward, but they get the victory here. Let's just go straight to the wave pool. De'Anthony Melton, who played 26 minutes and had 14, 4, and 4. And as I keep hearing people say as a new phrase at the moment, I don't know why, but that plays. That plays. Does it play, though, long-term 26 minutes with ups and downs and rotational fragility and efficiency issues? I don't know. I've got no problem with adding De'Anthony Melton. Absolutely something you do, right? You add him. But as a long-term, this is it. It's all the way up. Nah, don't know about that. Don't know about that at all. Let's do a Buddy Hield check. 14 points, 1 rebound. He did hit 2 threes. He did have 2 steals. He remains a very much back-end player. While the only thing we're talking about back ends with Brandon Pajemski is he can blow it out his ass. He's out here.
Get that kid here.
That's not fair. It's not his fault that they pumped him up to be something that he wasn't. And he's just bad at the moment. 3 points, 17 minutes. I do believe he'll get better, but you do not roster Brandon Pajigipsy in 10 or 12 team leagues. And you don't do it for Jackson Davis either.
Get that garbage out of here.
8 and 9 with 2 steals. We need 23 minutes consistently. Didn't get it. Good minutes for Andrew Wiggins. Unfortunately, he did nothing. That's not true, actually. Bit unfair. 4 assists, 2 steals, and a block. It plays. But bad shooting from the field, bad shooting from the line, and that is keeping his value in category leagues down. Well, Johnny Kuminga is sort of the opposite. He scored well. He played 28 minutes and not much else. He still remains to me a fringe option. Steph is ludicrous at the moment. I do worry about injuries with him, but it was always the likelihood that this season for Steph would see some of the biggest usage we get from him in the last few years. It's how long can he sustain it? 37, 6 and 9, 2 blocks, 5 threes, elite stuff, and Draymond also was great. 11, 7 and 6, 3 steals and 2 blocks as they had their revenge games against Klay Thompson. All right, let's go on now and dish out a monstrous line of the night. Who's your guess? Who do you think gets it? Who snags the old monstie for tonight? Well, it is the big fella himself. Why is that coming up? Apologies for that. That is a graphical snafu, and I'm quickly trying to delete. It's Tyler Herro. 40 points. This remnants from the Buy Low Sell High show earlier today. 40 points, 8 assists, 4 steals for Herro, 10 of 17 threes. He was a sell high option, and then he cooked here, further strengthening my resolve that he is a sell high guy, hitting 55% of his threes over his last 7 games. It's not going to hold. I guarantee you, 100% guaranteed, absolute guarantee. Guess what it is? It's a guarantee. Waiver wire line of the night. Pretty sure you'll guess this one, even though there were a lot of great options or great performances from players who are just sitting on waiver wires. And we know why they're sitting on waiver wires, but today's one does go to the Rock DJ himself. Take that legend, Robbie Williams III, 19 and 9 with 3 assists, 3 steals, and 3 blocks. Fantastic. I just finished detailing the concern, the confusion about the Klingon, Ayton, Williams situation, but add him, let's see what happens. I also didn't mention they play tomorrow, so he probably doesn't play. I doubt he plays back-to-backs. It'd be very interesting if he did after he played 25 minutes here, but he probably doesn't play. And then, they don't play till Sunday. So that's another little wrinkle into the Robert Williams discussion. The young gun of the night, who was the best producer as a first or second year player? Well, today, without too much problem, it was the big fella himself. The hard man, Grady Dick. 32 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists. The volume, the minutes, the usage, it's all there for him while quickly is dealing with his injury and Scotty Barnes remains sidelined. And lastly, it's the dud of the night. Who was the worst performer? Who is a highly rostered player? And I'm telling you, I don't think this guy is going to remain highly rostered for too long because it's, I believe, his second dud of the night in the last 6 days. Brandon Pajewski, 3-1-1, not playing enough, not doing anything. He's rostered way too highly and he should not be, so move on. We'll finish off the show with the top 6 players for the day. Let's go through those now. And your top 6 in category leagues today, obviously at number 1, it was Tyler Herro. He was closely followed by Buy Low legend Paul George, Steph Curry, John the Baptist Collins, Robbie Williams, and Jalen Johnson. Your top 6 waiver wire players. Now, sometimes on these waiver wire players, I go, Today, more interesting. Rob Williams. Yeah, maybe. Don't know what happens, but maybe. Moussa Diabate. Yeah, look, he's going to get minutes and rebounds. That's useful for some. Jaden McDaniels, the perennial stream legend. Mason Plumlee. Yeah, we add the cockroach if Nurkic is out. I don't know if he will be, but there's something there. Kyle Filipowski. If Walker Kessler's out, I'm okay with doing it, especially in 14-teamers. And then the conundrum of fantasy legend Larry Nance, much like Robert Williams. He was great today. Are they going to actually use him in this role? Or does Hunter's return impact that? The Hawks center position somehow, amazingly, is messier now. I don't think that Nance is a must-roster player, by the way, but we have to intently watch it. Your top 6 points league players, according to Yahoo scoring today, Herro, Curry, Jalen Johnson, John Collins, Paul George, and Franz Wagner. And lastly, your top 6 players on ESPN points scoring formats as the graphic just trails itself across Tyler Herro, Steph Curry, John Collins, Paul George, The Rock, DJ, Robbie Williams, and lastly, Jalen Johnson. That's it. That's the show. We are out of here, so don't forget, on your way out, hit the thumbs up. And guess what? I decided to join Blue Sky. So you follow me on Twitter, do that. It's a bit nasty over there. JoshLloyd.bsky.social. Just simply my name. I was able to get my name. So get over there and follow me on Blue Sky. I will do my best to post over there. I don't know how often I'll do it. I'm so ingrained in doing it on Twitter. But join me on Blue Sky, joshloyd.bsky.social. Check me out over there. And guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.